I call to order the Lake Mills Plan Commission special meeting of December 8, 2020. We'll start with roll call, please.
Mr. Foster,
Here.
Mr. Holman,
Here.
Mr. Schumacher,
Here.
Ms. Lazaris, Mr. Magnuson,
Here.
Mr. Grady,
Here.
Mr. Coots had earlier told me he would not be at tonight's meeting.
All right, thank you. Now we go to item number 3, correction and or approval of the minutes of November 24. Any correction of the minutes or any motion to approve?
I'll
make
move
the
to approve the
motion.
minutes.
Then I'll second it.
Who made the motion?
Josh made
Josh
it
Schumacher.
and Mike Foster seconded.
Aye. Mr. Schumacher and Mr. Foster moved to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, then let's proceed with a roll call vote.
Mr. Holman,
Abstain.
Mr. Schumacher,
Aye.
Ms. Lazaris,
Abstain?
Mr. Magnuson,
Aye.
Mr. Grady,
Abstain.
Mr. Foster,
Aye.
motion passed.
All right, thank you. Next is item number 4, questions and public comment. The public may address the commission at this time regarding items on the agenda, unless the item is the subject of a public hearing. If your comments pertain to a public hearing, please hold your comments until the hearing. We do have one public hearing this evening. Item number 5, zoning amendment request by Formul Development to rezone property at 1204 South Main Street from 2-family residential and rural development to multifamily residential with planned development district overlay. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting. The state's open meeting law discourages action by the commission on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes. State your name and address when starting your comments. Also fill out the sign-in sheet at the podium. For people online, please type your name and address in the chat feature. Are there any public comments at this time? Anyone commenting online? Yes, do you have a comment?
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Tim Murphy, and I am a resident at 725 South Ferry. I am speaking in favor of the requested zoning amendment. I think it's exactly what this part of town needs.
Sir, Mr. Murphy,
Yes.
I would just ask that we're going to reserve any comments pertaining to the requested zoning amendment until the time of the hearing. This is for comments that don't pertain to the hearing.
Thank you. When is the hearing?
It'll be next, but I will call it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So are there any comments at this time that don't pertain to the scheduled hearing? Okay. All right, then I close item number 4. And then we will proceed with the public hearing. Item number 5, zoning amendment from Formul Development LLC. for changing the zoning from two-family residential R28 and rural development RD to R312 multifamily residential with a planned development district overlay. And the address for this is at 1204 South Main Street, parcel number 2460713 2422005. To begin a public meeting, I would like to first ask for our consulting planner, Dustin Wolf, to provide an overview of this request with his recommendation. Mr. Wolf, are you available?
I am. Thank you, Ms. Lazarus. I will
Thank
share a
you.
screen. I don't know if it will be of benefit to people in the chambers who are not on 8x8, but I can at least put up some images for those of you participating virtually. I assume you can see the site, which is highlighted on an aerial. The property in question is immediately north of the Glacial Drumlin Trail, immediately south of, well, the former Topol's site now that it has been cleared. This site is currently zoned R2-8, which is our two-family district. As you had mentioned, the proposal is to rezone to R312, a multifamily district with planned development district overlay. The purpose is to construct a 16-unit condominium development that will be in a series of buildings, 5 and 3-unit buildings. I will put that up so people can see that. A cul-de-sac would serve the site. Utilities obviously would be extended into the site and through the site. The property itself, we have a few pictures of it over the years. Sorry, give me one moment. This is a Google Street View image while Highway 89 or Main Street was under construction. It was really used as a staging site for utility construction. Currently, it has been cleaned up. They've been bringing in some fill and some other things. But this site has been, as you can see from the aerial, has been used for a variety of contractor shops over the years or just kind of outdoor contractor type activities. The proposed development, based on the number of units and the unit types, requires a rezoning to the R3-12 district. The two-family district that it currently is only allows for 2-unit buildings. It also doesn't allow for multiple buildings on a site, whereas the R3-12 allows for multiple buildings on a site and multiple units within a building. The planned development district is being sought because it is a pretty challenging site to develop because of how long and narrow the site is. The site is only 112 feet wide, but it's over 700 feet deep. It extends into the edge of the golf course, as you can see from the aerial. The planned development district is used to contend with sites that are challenging or have environmental constrictions, where bulk regulations kind of make development very difficult, sometimes improbable, to get a good quality development out of it. I'm not sure, Ms. Lazarus, how much detail you'd like me to go into at this time, but the proposal is, as I mentioned, for a series of townhouse type structures that have either 3 or 5 units within them. The units will utilize stone or masonry, wainscoting, composite wood or cement fiberboard siding, dimensional asphalt shingles, as you can see from one of the renderings that have been provided. We do obviously have a lot of detailed plans that have been provided, building elevations, building floor plans, engineering drawings, utility drawings, roadway construction drawings, and the like. There will be 2 indoor parking stalls for every unit. There will be 2 parking stalls on the driveway for every unit, and then there are a series of visitor spots that are located on the site plan along the cul-de-sac drive. Not sure how much more detail you'd like me to go into at this time.
All right, very well, Mr. Wolf. And could you also cover your recommendation for this request?
Absolutely, and I will kind of highlight them here in the memo that is certainly available online and has been provided to everyone. So within the development, I just want to highlight the density. It's a 1.75 acre parcel. The R312 does require 2 acres, so the plan development district is necessary for that. That being said, the proposal only contains about 9 units per acre, which is far fewer than the 12 units per acre allowed by the R3 district. Also, about 62% of the site will be green space, which far exceeds the minimum 35% requirement. So I did want to touch on the fact that that the density requirements, the R312, are being met, as are the green space. There are a series of requirements for using plan development district here. Give me a second to scroll to them. Is the proposed development consistent with the spirit and intent of the plan development regulations, and does the design justify using the plan development concept? Staff certainly feels it does, as we'll touch on here. There aren't really natural features on the site to note. It's really just a graded lot. But this proposal will restore a site that has been in, I will say, an unsightly condition for many decades, which certainly is a bonus, and it will certainly put the site back on the tax rolls in a manner that we'd like to see, consistent with the long-range plans. This is an attractive housing development that will overlook the golf course and the Glacial Drumlin Trail. The area itself, down here at Sandy Beach and Main Street, is a mixed-use area. It has a lot of historic, I'll say, maybe legacy industrial and commercial properties interspersed with a variety of residential types. This development certainly fits in within that. The site is currently served by utilities, and utilities will be extended into it, so there will not be any additional strain on public utilities. Moreover, this project will enable the looping of utilities to the south of the Glacial Drumlin Trail, generally towards St. Paul's Church. There is adequate access and circulation and parking on the site for services and snow plowing. A couple other highlights. The staff's opinion is this project is very consistent with adopted long-range plans of the city, whether it is the comprehensive plan, which is called for redevelopment in this area, or tax increment district number 5, which we have planned for redevelopment in this area for a number of years for a variety of mixed-use development. This project will be in keeping with that, and is certainly something that we are recommending approval of. In the findings and the approval at the end of this, there are a handful of conditions that we think should be met. The lighting fixtures that are being proposed for this are very attractive, and they certainly meet our requirements as they're listed in the plan, but there is not a detail that shows the base height, the pole height, and the fixture mounting height. We find that this is very important to have in plan sets so things get constructed properly. It's also a requirement of the code. We do need a snow removal plan. There isn't a lot of area for snow storage on this site because it is so narrow, and it is a requirement of the zoning code that snow removal plans be provided for development or isn't apparent where snow will occur. And then refuse collection, we need some clarification on will refuse be individually collected, individual bins for each unit? Is there private collection for the entire site? Is the city responsible for, or public responsible for refuse collection, or will there be a common refuse area like a dumpster that would be located somewhere on the site? If that's the case, it needs to be included on the site plans And then we need a detail of that. But the staff is recommending approval based upon the findings being met for Plan Development District and the rezoning.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wolf. The public hearing is open. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on this requested rezoning? If so, then please approach the podium, sign in your name and address, and also announce your name and address for the clerk.
Good evening. Can you hear me? The mic's working? Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for allowing us to meet with you this evening. I'm here basically in two capacities. I'm a homeowner in the town of Lake Mills, and I have been for many years, as well as the developer on this project, one of the developers. You have all the materials in front of you that we supplied. This is the first step in going forward with the proposal that we presented to the city when we acquired the property at 1204 Main Street. I do have a home here in Lake Mills for the last 25 years, and my business partner, Jason Forrest, has lived here in Lake Mills for his entire life, as well as his family. He also has managed to build a successful business here in the town, and he's a big contributor to Lake Mills, just in the fact that he's constantly part of the community. We're not just a developer who is here and gone. We are part of this community. So we will assure you things will be done right. Over the years, I've seen many improvements and steady growth in the city of Lake Mills. However, I am sure you will all agree that this proposed development will be a needed improvement for the south end of Main Street. We and the good people of Topos have made the decision to invest greatly in this area and to really work to make this end of town something that's very impressive. This development is called Drumlin Crossing, and our plan is to build high-quality luxury townhomes that will be a complement to this area and will provide a product that we believe is needed here in Lake Mills. This community will be this residential community here will be a perfect home for someone wanting to lower their maintenance work, yet is looking for an active lifestyle home with added benefits of being located near the Drumlin Trail. We look forward to working with the city to quickly bring this project online, and I would be happy to answer any questions either now or when it is acceptable to the committee. As I said to the committee a few months ago, we will do this right. This isn't a fly in town, build a community and turn around and leave town. Jason and I are both members of this community. So just be assured that it'll be done well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment on this proposal?
Hi, my name's Brad Rozecki. I live at 116 Pinnacle Drive, which is one of the houses in the Ridge development directly behind or across the golf course from where this development is being proposed. And I'm just going to take this off so you can hear me better. So I've also lived in town for many years. It's interesting. When Mr. Forrest ran his initial landscape business out of that building, I used to be on that area, was struck by lightning recently after we moved, and I was back there on the site moving his equipment out before the fire department got there so it didn't burn up. So I'm very familiar with this lot. being it's about 100 feet from my house. When we first moved to town, it was a big mess back there. There was a lot of construction equipment stored there. Mr. Forrest was running his business from there. There was a lot of other things that were stored in that place. Over the years, that area directly on the golf course has really developed into, I think I would call it an intermittent wetland. I'm sure the city engineer wouldn't call it that because it's a drainage area that drains that into the golf course. And I think the old tile lines that were originally on the farm there probably run into that pond area. In the spring, that pond has a couple, 3 feet of water in it. It'll have ice on it. We see things, lots of different wildlife, and from great herons and sandhill cranes to deer and the things you would expect to see. It's kind of a wooded area. That area certainly blocks what I just heard described as new townhouses that are gonna, or condominiums that are gonna overview the golf course. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work. There's several questions that I have, and that I'm here speaking for the neighbors who live on that street. About a month ago, this was originally came before this committee and was listed in the paper and published that we were going to have this discussion. There was some legal issue that changed that meeting hearing time because the proposed change was incorrect. And I guess because it wasn't on the agenda, we didn't have to talk about it that night, so we didn't talk about it. At that meeting, there were a dozen or so folks from Pinnacle Drive who were here. Since the COVID thing has been worse, I'm kind of the spokesman who came here. I've also been part of gathering signatures on petitions asking this committee and the city to slow down the Southside development. There are renderings out there that show lots of multiplex, lots of changes. I've spoken at length with Mr. Foster about it. I've heard that this isn't what necessarily is going to be done. These are only ideas, but this vision doesn't meet what the vast majority of neighbors that I've spoken to have seen. And as a committee, I haven't talked to any of you directly, except for Mr. Foster. No one's come to tell us what your development plan is and what you're trying to accomplish there. There's just not a good vision about it. We have another dozen petitions again tonight asking for this committee and for the city council to slow down, give us an overall view of what you want to do with this to try before we move forward. And I get the developer wants to break ground before there's frost and wants to get this going and wants to make some money on it. I get that. I'm in private business myself. I understand that. But we need to slow down and get a better evaluation of it. So some questions I have specifically about this development. So first, and maybe you guys can just answer this right away. In the paper earlier this fall, there was an article that described the city's intent to purchase part of the golf course to put a water retaining pond in that area. Mr. Foster told me that I believe that that's completely off the table. I just want to confirm that from this committee, if that is in fact off the table, and that area that I described as an intermittent wetland is not going to be purchased, and no water retaining pond is going to be dug in that space. So I don't know if the developer can answer that question or if Mr. Wolf can answer that. I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
I would refer your question to Mr. Wilkie about concerning.
At this point, it's a public hearing. We can address that as we get into the rest of the meeting.
Okay,
Very well.
great. All right, so my next question is what the elevation of the property is going to be. I have the original drawings. It's hard to evaluate that. When I drove through the other day, I looked down that lot, and the original elevation is probably 15 feet below where it is currently. There's been a lot of fill brought in as part of the city project was done. As I saw these renderings, they're really tall buildings. I'm concerned that they're going to overwhelm the development across the fairway from it, across the street from it. So I'm just curious, are you going back to original grade where it was at, or are you going to stay at the higher grade level?
Again, we're in a
Well,
public
we're
hearing,
getting- we're
that'll be
getting into-
addressed.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll go through the rest of the question. How much TIF money is going to the developer? We're giving about $500,000 to Topals. There's TIF money that went to the other developments. I understand that if there's not TIF money, this probably isn't a developable lot in this format. Maybe that just means that this shouldn't be developed in this way. That's probably a really broad discussion to have. The final question, I have a couple that came up. The green space that is measured out to be, I think it was 46%. I'm looking at the drawings now. I can't see how that fits in there. I'm also questioning how that small lot, which is only 105 feet wide, 700 feet long, bigger than that? How wide is it? Yeah. So there's 64 cars able to be parked back in there. It seems like that's going to be a lot. Then finally, I get that the staff has gone through this and they believe this meets what the Lake Mills Comprehensive Plan is. I'm just going to cite a couple things that the comprehensive plan specifically says, just as a reminder for this committee. The idea, and this is in Chapter 6 of the Housing and Neighborhood Development from the Lake Mills Comprehensive Plan. Several months ago, when I was emailing back and forth several weeks ago with Mr. Foster, and I asked who had the vision for this, he told me there was no vision for this, that the goal was just to continue to follow what this comprehensive plan is. So on page 118, under objectives number 3, allow for the redevelopment of residential property in a manner that respects the context of the established neighborhoods. Well, I don't believe this. I don't believe the neighbors that live in this neighborhood, who live across the golf course from this, feel that this is, it is in a manner that respects the context of the existing houses. All of us who bought houses there knew that there's strict protective covenants in the ridge, assuming that that would surround the golf course. Now we're going to put something across the fairway that's different. It also says in number 5, provide for a range of housing type and densities while maintaining an emphasis on single family homes. It's right there, number 5 in the objectives of what the city plan says. Under policies, the city should establish a balanced housing policy for providing for a mix of housing types that reflect the needs of all segments. I get that there's a need for additional types of housing in the city of Lake Mills. My argument would be that this probably isn't the exact place to try and fit it in, put this much of a density of development, nor do my neighbors who live in this neighborhood think that. The city will disperse multifamily housing, this is number 2 under policies, at appropriate locations throughout the community and within each new neighborhood to accordance to the city balance. And it goes on, and when I read through that, it talks about having green space, having access to other property, being able to get into those areas. Number 3, generally the city will strive to achieve a minimum average residential density of 4 dwelling units per acre in each planned neighborhood with a minimum average density of 3. Clearly, we're well over that. I get this is a difficult lot to grow into. It's a hot real estate market. Houses on Pinnacle Drive are selling in days. Sometimes they don't even get listed. I don't know why the city would give TIF money to put new development in an area that's already a hot market. This is not an area that is debilitated and dilapidated. This is, right now, it's just green space. It's been cleaned up. Nothing else leaves it vacant. I mean, it could have just sat vacant and wouldn't have affected anything. Number 5, the city will require multifamily designs with architectural features consistent with those of smaller scale residential types and ensure that adequate landscaping, rec area, and parking is provided. I guess I'm glad to hear that you guys are worried about the lights that are going to be in my backyard. That, you know, I never thought I would have to worry about being there, buying a house in a really restricted protective covenants on a golf course. I didn't think the city was going to try and help fund putting condos right behind it. Just a lot to ask. So hopefully I can get some of those questions answered. Hopefully you all are thinking about what hundreds of residents of Lake Mills have signed in petition to slow down the south side development, get more public input, not just listen to our consultants who don't live here and just a few bureaucrats who are on the staff. You people who are on this committee that represent the citizens of Lake Mills need to stop, get more input, come and talk to us in that neighborhood, come and talk to our homeowners association, come and tell us what you want to do, get our input. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. We are still in public hearing.
One second thing, I do have several more petitions. I'm hoping I can give them to someone today. I know Misty is out on quarantine, so I'm hoping if I can hand them off to you guys and get them to the city clerk. Thanks.
My name is Tim Murphy. Thank you for the second chance to speak. And I am in the neighborhood, and I also have spoken to a lot of neighbors. And the neighbors that I have spoken to are unanimously behind this project and want to support it. The south end of Main Street, it really needs this type of development. It's a long overdue thing for some of the reasons that have already been stated. I myself have reviewed all the documents that are on the public record regarding this development. And I hope the developers don't mind, but I also have walked the entire length of the property because I wanted to get a better feel for it. This property is perfectly situated for what is proposed. What the plans show is that the townhouses will be very visually appealing. They're going to be very well designed, both on the inside as well as on the outside. And they appear as if they're going to be constructed of high quality materials. As one of the developers said, they will be luxury townhomes. That's what we need on the south end. The green space that's going to be provided is going to be ample, and the amenities for residents will be just a wonderful area there. Of course, it helps to have the Drumlin Trail right next door. The narrow and this challenging site is unlikely to accommodate any development any better. So this appears to be the perfect one. I think that the plans show there was good vision in the creation or the initiation of this development, as well as it's been changed and improved over time. The plan, it really speaks for itself. It shows what is going to be built there. We don't need to slow down. It's time to get the south side of town looking a lot better. I'm a neighbor, and I think that the development does not only respects the neighborhood, I think this will significantly improve the neighborhood. And I certainly can understand the perspective of a neighbor who says, I bought into a neighborhood with restrictive covenants, and I can understand that because I've been in neighborhoods with restrictive covenants that I wanted respected also. And as far as I know, in his development, they are respected. But this property falls outside of that development. It fits in nicely, but it's outside of it. And, you know, Mr. Vanderbilt had a good saying, which if you like the view, buy it. And be careful about what you buy if you don't own the view. So I think that this development will enhance the town. It will put a lot of property back on the tax roll. I'd be concerned if this were a small development because it's just not enough added to the tax base. So I think that everybody involved has done a good job. I commend everybody for what they've done. And I strongly encourage that the zoning be changed to permit this development and that we all act with speed and a sense of urgency to start making the south end look beautiful again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. We are still in public hearing. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment on the proposed rezoning? Are there any other comments concerning the proposed rezoning?
Jason Forrest, one half of the development team for Formul. Thanks for taking the time to review our proposed project. Yeah, I have a lifetime in Lake Mills of contributing to many associations and many group organizations, helping support them. And I look at this as an opportunity to help in addition to that with enhancing the quality and the style of the south end of town and all of Lake Mills. Grew up here and yes, my business was in that location, and I actually had an idea 10, 12 years ago that if this were to ever change up there, I would try to knock on the door and see what could be done. So we have an opportunity that we presented and a general proposal about 5-6 months ago that was positively received by the City Council, Planning Commission, and city staff. And awarded the project to us with this vision in mind. So I think there's been several months where there's been information on the table, in the leader, in public documents, and that things take time, and it's not going too fast. This is a 6-month, and we're into this for 6 months approximately. So it's had plenty of public information spread around and gathered. We've had many people say, wow, perfect. I mean, the adjectives that could be used for this project are endless right now. Many people are eager to see what's going to go in there, how soon they can get on the list. They want to stay in Lake Mills. There isn't room for some of their quality of housing that they want to stay in Lake Mills as they reduce their stress of owning larger houses. They want to have something smaller, but stay in the community where their friends have always been for their lifetime. So we have given a lot of time and thought into this, and there's lots of public information out there. I believe the other neighborhood is maybe 300-400 feet away, and there is a tree line, as he talked about, that exists already on the golf course. So a lot of this will not even be seen from a different street. So it is not, in fact, 100 feet away. I've been involved with city construction projects for 20 years. Specifically, first public contract was with Strand Engineering in 1999. So 20 years working relationship with the city engineers, city staffs, city street reconstructions. I think we've always honored all our contracts, finished them completely, built quality stuff, and built quality street projects. And this would just be another extension of that we can offer. High quality construction, meeting city standards, meeting city codes, and many things that the Planning Commission and the City Council count on when you give trust in developers to create projects that enhance the city. So this is something that goes more to just than meeting all of the standards you require. It's an endeavor that, we're putting forward. Maybe not so strong comment from our heart, but within the city that we contribute to in so many different ways. So please take all that into consideration. We've got a few minor adjustments that are in revisions from the city planner, Dustin. And those things can be addressed immediately and updated on any plan sheets or in any documents that you're requesting. So thank you for your time, and look forward to working with everyone on this and hoping it moves forward as quickly as allowed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest. We are still in a public hearing. Would anyone else like to comment on the proposed rezoning? Is there anyone else who would like to comment on the proposed rezoning? Are there any other comments on this proposal? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. We move on to item number 6, which is discussion recommendation on zoning amendment from Formul Development LLC for changing the zoning from two-family residential R28 and rural development RD to multifamily residential with planned development district overlay R312 PDD Overlay for the property at 1204 South Main Street, parcel 2460713 2422005. Now, we are in discussion at this time, so Plan Commission members and staff, there were some questions that came up, and this might be time that we could enter these into discussion. I would ask Mr. Wilkie and Mr. Wolf if you would comment on the questions that came up concerning, there was a question on drainage, on elevation, on tax increment financing money, on green space, and there possibly were more, and to the extent that also you can recall some of the questions, could you address the questions that were posed during the public hearing?
Excuse me, just as a word of caution, I would say let's keep as much in the scope of what the context of the hearing actually is, and that is the rezone of the property. So just as a word of caution, let's not delve too deeply here into design aspects that will be through a review process in the future if this initial step moves forward.
All right. To the extent that it's appropriate to address these items, and some did concern the site itself, such as elevation and green space.
I'm going to start, and then I'll let Dustin finish up with some stuff. First of all, PIN number 5 started in 2013 and was finalized in 2014. So all the proposals that are out there are at least 6 years old. So I don't get the impression that we've rushed anything. We've had a lot of conversations with people, and in order to be able to make these things move along, we've worked through PIN number 5 and put other proposals and activities together to try and redevelop the south area. Most of you have remembered that over the years we've taken a lot of criticism for what the south side looked like, and that we were requested to do redevelopment like we had done on the north side in PID number 4. To state that it's being rushed is not an accurate statement. The second one I would put into that is that we don't actually do the development. We show some concepts that are available, and people actually come in and buy the land and then send proposals to us, and then we work with them on how to put it together and send it before the Plan Commission. Sometimes there's a little bit of confusion, but eventually we get to the point where we have a project that we can finalize. Stormwater. We've been talking about that stormwater since the Highway 89 project started in 2012. The reason is because the state highway and Sandy Beach Road already run all their stormwater there. So all the stormwater that's running off of any site in that area is actually already running to that site. It's acting like an existing stormwater detention basin. And there's some concerns about how the highway and other things would impact it. The two developments, the Topals and this one, have on-site quality control. We were still thinking that maybe it would be to the benefit of the community if we put in a quantity control, because with that highway being connected there's potential for some flooding issues, and so we wanted to at least evaluate that. We haven't moved anything forward with that, but that's something that we were evaluating even before we started talking about any of this type of project. TIF money. Once we have projects in the TID that meet the plan scope, city staff puts together the project in accordance with what the plan lays out. We put together the dollars, and so in this case we have a pro forma which the city council has reviewed. It generates more money than the developer has requested, so the city is not putting money in. The developer is actually paying for these himself through the TID, and we feel comfortable with the amount. The guarantees and the developer's agreement protect the city from any financial harm, and we feel that this is a good proposal for getting that south side redeveloped and making the city, accomplishing the goals of the city. Dustin and I were deeply involved in the comprehensive plan, so interpreting how that comprehensive plan is written goes to a much broader scope than what's been discussed so far. Condos are a definite need in the community. We have a lot of people who are looking for them. These types of condos are high quality. They're made to look like single family homes. So if you looked at the elevations provided, you would see that they're pretty consistent. So Dustin's probably better at this, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay, thank you, Steve. The first thing that came up was proximity of this site to the existing residential development. Gentleman indicated he's 100 feet away. Actually, he's over 340 feet away. All of those properties on Pinnacle Drive are over 340 feet away from this development. So I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page that this isn't a development that's looming over. It is separated by a golf course fairway and a de facto drainage area. The elevations that was asked about, the homes on Pinnacle Drive, they're set at 860 feet. The trail on the south end of this site is 860 feet. This development will have be set at between 858 and 860 feet. And then the road in front of it is at the same 858 to 860 feet. So all of those units will be at the same set at the same base elevation. So I want to make sure that we understand that that is very consistent. The heights of these buildings are not any taller than two-story single-family homes. They look different because they are townhomes. They're condominium townhomes. So yes, there are more units within a building. We have a 3-unit and a 5-unit, but the facades of those buildings certainly have the characteristics that we call for in the comprehensive plan, characteristics that are expected to look single family. While units are connected, if you look at the details of the elevations, there is kind of a vertical and horizontal relief between units. There are prominent front porches that really grab your eye, and high quality building materials, a lot of use of gables and fenestration to try to mimic single family. Now, again, no one's saying these are single family. They are a multifamily product, but they are townhouse, not a traditional multifamily product where you have multiple floors of units that are connected via hallway, single entry in a hallway. These are all individual entry condominium units. So the context component is very important here. The design kind of achieves the new urbanist and mixed use design elements that we called for in the comprehensive plan. And then we also highlighted in the tax increment financing project plan. for this. This is a challenging site because it is so narrow and long. And so the development type you're seeing here, instead of seeing clustered units, is going to be very linear just because that is the only option available there. Nearly 40% of the site is green space. That does exceed what is required for the R3-12 district. And vehicle parking, again, one of the things that always comes up with developments of two-family or multifamily development types, including townhouses, is will there be sufficient parking so people are not parking out on the public roads or not impacting neighboring properties, etc. Again, each unit will have 2 garage spaces and 2 driveway spaces, similar to all of the homes on Pinnacle Drive. They have 2 garage spaces and 2 driveway spaces. In addition, when someone is having an event, there are about a dozen additional just separated parking stalls along the cul-de-sac for people to park in, so people don't end up parking out on Main Street or on neighboring properties. So again, in feel, in character, these homes, these townhomes, will have a single-family appearance to them because of their design. And again, this product is sorely needed. The gentleman, when reviewing components of the comprehensive plan, he started mixing some things, which is the planned neighborhood district, which is a very specific development type for large-scale development in the community. The planned neighborhood says, hey, we are going to strive to have a mix of development type within a single neighborhood, so people can buy up and down within their neighborhood and not have to crisscross the city. So that is saying, hey, we should have 60 to 70% of the units in a new neighborhood should be single family, and 5 to 15% should be 2-family or single family attached, which is what this is, townhouses, and 20 to 30% in that new neighborhood should be mixed residential, what we call multifamily apartments, or a different type of condo product. So again, while he was saying that we need to have a balanced housing policy, et cetera, well, this is one of those products that does fit within what we're trying to achieve in the community. But when quoting all these numbers, and especially he said a minimum average residential density of 4 units per acre, please note that was a minimum. This is above that minimum if you were to apply it to the planned neighborhood. This is a little bit higher density because, again, a typical single family development is usually 2 to 3 units per acre, sometimes 4. The Pinnacle Drive is generally about 4 units an acre when you just look at the residential. That's a quarter acre a lot. This is 16 units on just under 2 acres, right? So it is about 9 units an acre, but that's to be expected with this type of housing product. And again, it's a 700-foot deep property. Context is important. These homes aren't immediately next door to single-family homes. These are transitional type land uses that we look for and have called for in the comprehensive plan. Moreover, if you dig a little deeper in the comprehensive plan, it talks extensively about redevelopment of sites, the need for redevelopment of sites, and specifically sites in this area. The city has been planning through the comprehensive plan and through tax increment district number 5 for the redevelopment of this area. One of the key components to the redevelopment of this area was the improvements of Main Street, the road itself, and then of course all of the aesthetic amenities, sidewalks, lighting, etc. And then of course extension of all the utilities, replacement and extension of utilities. We have been planning for a decade and a half, if you will, for the redevelopment of this area. And this project does fit in with the context of what we are looking for within the Sandy Beach kind of TID 5 redevelopment area. To the effect, again, designing neighborhoods according to the comprehensive plan with a range of densities, housing styles, and costs, rather than allowing a concentration of any single type in one area of the city. So this certainly meets that. There are no others of this product type in the area, much less the community. And moreover, multifamily is dispersed throughout the community. I would argue there are some concentrations off of Tyranina and some concentrations over in Brookstone that are not exactly desired, but those developed before the comprehensive plan was put together, which is why we have those requirements in the comprehensive plan to try to disperse these types of development, so we don't have any one concentration anywhere. We, of course, want redevelopment of residential property in a manner that respects the context of the established neighborhoods. While Pinnacle Drive is an established neighborhood, it is certainly distant from this. It has been separated by the Topol site, which of course we're very excited to see redevelopment of, but 50 years of that site and its appearance certainly wasn't the best backdrop. Certainly wasn't the best entry to the south end of the community, and the new development plan they have for it is certainly outstanding. The context of this area has been tired. Context of the south entry into the community has been haphazard. Remember, it developed long ago when there was a rail line, when there was just the need for granaries and industrial land uses along a rail ledge. And that's no longer the case now. There are some aging commercial, which we hope will start to spruce up in the coming years when it starts to see redevelopment around it, as is being proposed here. The Vita Plus site probably isn't going anywhere, but that's an industrial development. This site and the sites to the north of it was the old Dairy Queen, which was very derelict. A lot of outdoor storage with the Topol, a very necessary business in the community, but has a lot of outside activity. Immediately on the south side of the Glacial Drumlin Trail here, it used to be the tire storage area, and that white building that was taken down at the corner. And then you have the Quonset hut kind of building back there, and the kind of you have the Lycon site there. So again, this area really has been industrial in nature, which is no longer really appropriate in this area, right? So the transition now is to other residential types and mixed use development. Mixed use development is office, commercial, maybe light industrial, and a variety of residential types. And so again, it is staff's opinion that this is truly in keeping with what has been planned out here for decades. So I don't know if there's anything more you'd like me to comment on, but I feel like that would be sufficient at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Certainly.
Plan commissioners and staff, are there any comments, questions about the proposed rezoning? We do have a prepared Plan Commission motion 2012-1, recommendation to City Council for zoning amendment, Formul Development LLC, 1204 South Main Street, parcel number 24607132422-005. This motion sets forth the city zoning authority under Wisconsin state statutes, that the city zoning ordinance has certain requirements for rezoning. The request by Formul Development to rezone the property from two-family residential R28 and rural development RD to multifamily residential with planned development district overlay. The city review of this proposal, tonight's public hearing and plan commission review. This motion does provide for plan commission recommendation to the city council for the approval of the requested rezoning in accordance with procedures set forth in the city zoning ordinance and subject to requirements noted in the planner's memo, which Mr. Wolf did speak on, for A, lighting fixture details and photometric plan, B, snow removal plan, C, details on refuse collection, and that any structures constructed for refuse would be in conformance with the zoning ordinance. So that is the prepared motion 2012-1. Are there any comments, questions about the prepared motion? And of course, online you also saw the the piece that is, would be coming in front of the city council for rezoning, ordinance 1221 as proposed. But in front of us is this motion. Does anyone wish to make a motion concerning this prepared motion?
I'll motion to approve.
That was
Motion
Mr.
2020,
That
motion
was
20,
Mr. Gray.
Mr. Grady, 2012 one.
All right. Mr. Grady has moved passage of motion 2012-1. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Schumacher has seconded. And moved and seconded to pass motion 2012-1. Is there any discussion? In that case, we'll proceed with roll call vote.
Mr. Schumacher,
Aye.
Ms. Lazaris,
Aye.
Mr. Magnuson,
Aye.
Mr. Grady,
Aye.
Mr. Foster,
Aye. Unmute.
Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0.
All right. Thank you. Next item, 7, recommendations for future agendas. Is there any information at this time about future agendas?
I just have a question, not pertaining to this past motion, but kind of in the same ballpark. Is in August we approved for the zoning change at 13. I think it was 1324 South Main. It was like right across the.
Yes.
And I was wondering what the status of that is, and also like next to it, I suppose that would be what on the west side of that property. I just was wondering what's happening with that piece too, because it's that's been a part of that corner there that we haven't really talked about. Does that make sense? On the east side of Main Street, but on the west side of that 1324.
Yeah, north and west of 1324. I think Steve Richard talking about it.
Yeah, the 1324, they're looking at different sets of building plans. Their original proposal had some problems, so they're looking at that. So that's kind of on hold. The the next lot over is owned by Vita Plus, and their lot kind of surrounded 1220 to the west and to the south.
That's the subject lot you're talking about, Ryan, 1220.
And
okay.
it was to the north was the bike trail, to the east was Vita Plus, and to the south was Vita Plus. It had a little connection on Route 89 to the west, but Vita Plus wanted to purchase that, so the city sold that to Vita Plus. They have no plans for that use of that property, but they did feel that it combined well with their other lot for any future potential.
So they have the property, that big piece of property on the one end of the street, and on the opposite end of the street, on the other side of the street, they have that little piece. Right next to where the sign is, it says Glacial Drumlin Trail, right?
They own 2 lots there. They right next to 1324. They owned a lot there, which used to be the old gas station. I don't know if there was an old mobile self-serve gas station. Vita Plus owns that. And that parcel kind of surrounded the parcel we had been given by the state when they tore that down. And yeah, so you can see their parcel went around that old barn. They owned over to the east here. And so they
22006.
Yeah, they own 22008. So you can see that they pretty much had access all the way around us. So when we got that lot given to us by the state of Wisconsin, we looked at it and put it up for sale, and Vita Plus made an offer, and the council decided to sell it to them. Their proposal is that they're not going to do anything with it, but
How is it zoned? It's
Light
industrial, right?
I think it's planned industrial, if memory serves. Yes. And that's just because it was historically zoned that way. So the comprehensive plan, remember when the comprehensive plan was done, 13 years ago, these areas were kind of, I'll say, viable. The gas station was running, the barn site that you see here was being used by the property owner. There was some activity happening on the site back here. So again, we didn't propose to change all of the land use or the zoning on the site at that time because property owners were engaged in activities that needed those zoning districts. Things have obviously changed in the last 5, 6, 7 years. So.
I know that one of the issues was, well, two of the issues were that one, that the lot was pretty much surrounded by the Vita Plus property already to the west. They're on the other side of the street, and to the south and to the east. They felt that if an existing business had a viable option for it, it was a good use. So that was the two items that they looked at when they made those decisions. The next plan commission meeting, I think we will see conditional use permits, probably the cedars. We will probably, what else, Dustin? We'll see.
These are the shoreland issues that we've been working with property owners over the last few months on. So you're going to see the cedars, the phase, maybe the former phase site, the Compier site may be coming back at that point because they did go to Board of Appeals. So
and the Zalties.
And the Zalties. So again, a lot of shoreland issues. People getting their plans in order for hopefully some spring activity.
I have a question. Steve and Dustin, with the next meeting coming up, would it be possible for you to put up, like we did on the old overhead, and like you did tonight via your computers, could you put up copies of different documents for that meeting?
Yes.
We will certainly make a way so it could be projected up on the screen from these meetings. Absolutely.
Yeah, the next meeting is going to be a doozy. I encourage the entire city of Lake Mills to watch the upcoming Plan Commission meetings because it's some serious business going on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, certainly. All right. Is there anything else that we should discuss for item number 7 on future agendas? All right, hearing none. Number 8, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second.
Mr. Holman, and the second from who? Sorry. Was the second from Mr. Grady?
Mr. Magnuson.
Wayne.
Ms. Magnuson. Oh, thank you. All right, very good. All right. Any discussion? All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Adjourn.